Canada, a nation often lauded for its social safety net and progressive values, grapples with a disconcerting reality: poverty persists within its borders. While poverty's reach extends across various demographics, a closer examination reveals a surprising trend: a majority of those living in poverty in Canada are white. This finding challenges preconceived notions and underscores the importance of evidence-based analysis when addressing complex social issues. It is tempting to assume that poverty disproportionately affects minority groups, reflecting systemic biases and historical disadvantages. However, this assumption, while valid in many contexts, does not fully encompass the nuanced reality of poverty in Canada. Understanding this demographic paradox requires a careful examination of data, methodologies, and the multifaceted factors that contribute to poverty. This essay delves into the latest findings on poverty demographics in Canada, focusing on the often overlooked fact that white Canadians constitute the largest group living below the poverty line. By exploring the data sources, methodologies, and potential implications of this finding, this essay aims to provide a clearer understanding of the complex interplay of social, economic, and policy-related factors that shape the landscape of poverty in Canada. Through this exploration, we aim to move beyond simplistic narratives and engage in a more nuanced discussion about poverty, one that acknowledges the lived realities of all Canadians struggling to make ends meet. It is only through such an approach that we can hope to develop effective and equitable solutions to address the root causes of poverty and create a more just and prosperous society for all. The assertion that a majority of Canada's poor are white might seem counterintuitive at first glance. However, this finding is deeply rooted in robust data analysis conducted by reputable institutions. Statistics Canada, the country's national statistical office, provides comprehensive data on income distribution and poverty rates across various demographic groups. Their reports, based on large-scale surveys and meticulous data collection, consistently show that while poverty rates among racialized groups remain disproportionately high, the absolute number of white Canadians living in poverty surpasses that of other groups. This data is not intended to diminish the struggles faced by racialized communities, but rather to provide a more complete picture of poverty in Canada. It is crucial to understand that this data does not exist in isolation. It is corroborated by research conducted by universities and think tanks across the country. For instance, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, a nonpartisan research institute, has published numerous reports highlighting similar trends in poverty demographics. These reports, often based on longitudinal studies and qualitative research, provide valuable context to the statistical data, shedding light on the lived experiences of Canadians struggling with poverty, regardless of their ethnicity or background. By considering these diverse sources of information, we can begin to unravel the complex tapestry of poverty in Canada. Understanding the demographic reality of poverty in Canada requires acknowledging the distinction between absolute numbers and rates. While white Canadians may constitute the largest group living in poverty in absolute numbers, this fact is intrinsically linked to their status as the majority demographic group in Canada. To gain a more accurate understanding, it is essential to consider poverty rates, which represent the proportion of a particular group living below the poverty line. When we examine poverty rates, we see a different, albeit equally important, aspect of the issue. Racialized groups, Indigenous communities, and recent immigrants experience poverty at significantly higher rates than white Canadians. This discrepancy in poverty rates highlights the systemic barriers and disadvantages faced by these groups. Historical injustices, discrimination, and limited access to opportunities contribute to the overrepresentation of these communities among those living in poverty. Therefore, while understanding the absolute numbers is crucial, it is equally important to consider the social, economic, and historical factors that contribute to the disproportionate impact of poverty on certain groups. By delving deeper into the data and considering both absolute numbers and rates, we gain a more comprehensive understanding of the complex dynamics of poverty in Canada. This nuanced perspective is essential for developing effective and equitable policies aimed at addressing the root causes of poverty and creating a more just society for all Canadians. While statistical data provides a valuable framework for understanding poverty demographics, it is crucial to move beyond the numbers and consider the social and economic factors that contribute to these trends. A multitude of interconnected elements influence an individual's or family's likelihood of experiencing poverty. These factors include access to education, employment opportunities, affordable housing, and healthcare, among others. For white Canadians living in poverty, factors such as low levels of education, precarious employment in declining industries, and lack of access to affordable housing play a significant role. Furthermore, regional disparities within Canada also contribute to the prevalence of poverty among certain demographic groups. Rural communities, often characterized by limited employment opportunities and reduced access to social services, experience higher poverty rates than urban centers. This is particularly relevant for white Canadians living in remote or economically disadvantaged regions. Understanding these social and economic determinants of poverty is essential for developing targeted interventions and policies that address the root causes of economic hardship. By acknowledging the multifaceted nature of poverty and its interplay with social and economic factors, we can move towards more effective and equitable solutions that benefit all Canadians.